everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Rhythm and Rome. My name is Benef, and I'm also here with Paul and Trecia, and we are so excited to have a new episode for you where we discuss cultural adventures, misconceptions, similarities, differences, and all the craziness in between. And so today we are discussing religion and travel. One of my good friends, Leah, she went to Israel in November of 2022 on a religious pilgrimage. She's Christian. And to hear her story, her experience it was just amazing. The Bible, she said, came to life for her to see
that's awesome.
These historic sites, to actually walk in them, similar to what we were talking about with the battlefields. I mean, you're walking on the land, and there's just something different about physically being there than reading about it, like in a history book or in the Bible, which is essentially a history book. So that was just incredible to hear her take on it.
Like, what cities did you visit?
From Tel Aviv, we went to Capernaum, which was a city where Christ did a lot of teaching. That's where the Apostle Peter and his brother Andrew were from. It's right on the edge of the Sea of Galilee. So we were in Galilee. We went to, the Dead Sea. We went to, of course, Jerusalem, Nazareth, Bethlehem. What am I forgetting? Jaffa, which is right on the Mediterranean coast, where the famous Jonah and the whale story is from.
So did you feel like unsafe, or how did they make sure that you were going to be safe with all that?
Everybody had that question. We did some Zoom meetings prior to leaving, where if we had any questions, we could ask. His name was Alan Parr, but he was also his mentor, who's another pastor named Leroy Armstrong. And it was basically his group that he was taking. But we were able to ask those questions, and he had been doing this for years. So he had several contacts over there, and the guy that we worked with, she lives over there. She's been living over there 30 years and stuff. So they were able to check the temperature, and they were like, it's completely safe. They had checked all the blocks on just ensuring that everybody who was going to be attending were comfortable, that security was in place, but there were no issues at the time, nothing like we're seeing now.
And did you see, was there any tension? Because Israeli is primarily Jewish. So was there any
tension? There was no tension that I noticed. And like I said, they took us to areas that they knew there was not going to be anything, that could put us in any kind of harm or anything. The only thing I can recall, was when we went to Bethlehem, to the Church of the Nativity. And the guards there were Palestinian. So we had our shirts on that day because we were going to take a group photo, and our shirt said something about loving Israel, supporting Israel. And so the guards came out and they said to our group leader, basically, you're not coming in here with those shirts on. You need to do something with those shirts. And so he stopped us. He went and got his supervisor, and his supervisor spoke to the group lead, and he was very angry. You could see it in his face. He was disgusted, and everybody was kind of like, what's going on? And they were just like, because of the tension between the two. And so we had to take our shirts off or turn them inside out before we go into the church. Yeah.
So the part where she talked about being physically, mentally, emotionally, obviously spiritually changed, was fascinating. And did you have the same experience?
Yeah. So, and to agree with her, let me put a little bit of background to it. I lived in Jordan for 7 months. And I was also had a similar experience as she did. And I did it during Easter, where I went to see, where Jesus Christ was baptized. And I also went into the Jordan River and was able to go to Jerusalem and be able to really immerse myself into this, the culture, and just the whole being and the atmosphere. And to my surprise, I felt that there were a lot of people of color, because I was nervous myself in as going through this experience, and obviously her experience was more intense than mine, because I just went to those areas and stuff like that.
And you were just by yourself, right?
We went with, because I lived there when I was in the military. So we went with the other military people.
She was on a group.
She was on a group trip.
Yeah.
But I guess I was on a group trip, but a group trip of a bunch of American military people. So it was probably not the same, because we were kind of disciplined. So, but nevertheless, the experience was the same. And I really, really enjoyed it. And for me, obviously there wasn't many people of color on this trip with us. I was, in my mind, worried about this. Okay. But I was totally wrong and didn't need to worry about something like this. And I had one of the most rewarding experience, because it meant a lot more, kind of like Omaha Beach. And when I did this in the previous podcast we did, it felt more important, because it was Easter. I did it. And as a Catholic, it meant something to me. And it meant something to me to actually walk into the Jordan River and, just immerse myself into that. So I totally could relate to what she had to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I can imagine. Go ahead.
And Benef, did she talk more about the fact, why was it important for her to do this pilgrimage? I mean, what, that whole, thought that she needed to go and do this? Was it just based on just spirituality, or was there something that she talked about, a life experience, or what was the point for wanting to do that?
Yeah, she did talk about that. And we can hear her words. It'd be better than for me to try to paraphrase.
Yeah. Okay. So you went to Israel, and you had told me that this trip changed your life. And so I just want to learn more about that. Like, first, why did you want to go to Israel?
Well, I wanted to go to Israel for oh my gosh, years, probably since my early 20s. And I had looked at, it was just something that was out of my price range at the time. And not so much that, as it was just I don't know, just with me working and everything, it was just, I don't know, it was more like a fantasy than anything. Mm-hmm. But I had always wanted to go, just because, this, that I am a believer. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And I've been a Christian, pretty much my whole life. Mm-hmm. So when the opportunity arose, I was like, you know what, Lord, if this is for me, make it happen. And if it's not, then, I'll just wait. And so, I just wanted to go and experience the culture, and to, basically just walk in the footsteps of my Lord and Savior,
And so she had said she'd always wanted to go, mm-hmm. and didn't have the time. But my question to her was but this region is not safe. Mm-hmm. Historically, just not safe. Lots of right now, conflict. Mm-hmm. So how do you choose a good time to go? How do you know this group is going to take care of your safety? That was the
trusting issue and stuff like that. And
sure.
That's all fair, questions.
Well, for you, I mean, you were military, but you weren't walking around with your weapons when you went there. So, were you worried about your safety?
We were, because at the time when I was there too, as well, there was that humanitarian crisis.
What year was this?
2015.
Okay.
And it was the humanitarian crisis with Syria.
Yes.
Jordan. So it was that safety issue, because we were worried that we were able to go, but we're a bunch of American military folks. And that was
going to be obvious regardless of whether or not you were in uniform.
Exactly.
You're going to look American, or clean shaven.
But the interesting piece to that was most of the guards and security forces was on the Israel side in Jerusalem.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
in other words, I did not feel unsafe, but we were cautious. And like she
Right.
said as well, I believe, where she talked about, she didn't feel that unsafe or whatever,
Right.
because there were other
Yeah.
tourists,
Lots of tourists.
that were
right,
there too
large
as well,
groups.
large groups.
And she was with a large group of herself. It was about like 40
Yeah,
people.
yeah, that's
Um,
pretty
Mhm.
large.
well, and so this is only, one area of the world that people go to for
Yeah.
religious travel.
Mhm.
And I mean,
Pilgrimage.
and I being in Japan, being in Korea for living there for so
Mhm,
long,
mhm.
not that I did religious pilgrimages there, but we would visit shrines and temples,
Mhm.
and just the feeling of the place is just so, I don't know, I
Yeah.
can't, like, the word's not coming to me, but not serene, but like
Was
just
it reverent?
Mm,
yeah, perhaps. I mean, and
mm,
even though I don't practice those religions
mm.
of the
Yeah.
Japanese,
But you know what I'm curious
but
about?
you still
Yeah.
are like, you still have a sense of, like you said, reverence. It's still
Mm.
Yeah.
there in a spiritual home, a spiritual place.
No, I get your point on that. But what I'm curious to as well with her, I was curious to find out, um, and I don't want to beat it in their head because we all know how Americans are when we travel. Was there any, these are religious areas that you have to act a certain way.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, were there any loudness or any people
Well, I
obnoxious
mean,
or anything
I
like
I
this?
definitely, because I visiting those places where when I visited like the cathedrals in
Yeah,
Europe or
yeah.
the
Yeah.
mosque
Must
in
be a certain
Bahrain,
way.
yeah, I get really nervous because we had to wear the headscarf to
Yeah.
visit the mosque, so I was constantly worried that thing kept
Mm.
falling off, and I'm like the one person showing my hair, because
Yeah.
they put it on us, but it wasn't staying.
Yeah, yeah.
Or visiting the Catholic
Yeah.
churches.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be, your
Yeah.
shoulders have to be
That's
covered.
right.
Shoulders have to be covered. Yeah.
So I'm always
Mhm.
worried that I don't want to do anything inappropriate.
Mhm.
I do not want to offend someone with my ignorance. That's the biggest fear that I have, is that,
Exactly.
and being
Yeah.
in Japan, like, I don't, there's rules and procedures for how
Yeah.
to enter the temple or the shrine, and I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I'm watching everyone and
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
follow along just so I'm respectful and
That's
Why
why
it's
I said
always
I
a good
was
idea. Yeah, why I
acting.
think it's always a good idea to travel with bobby pins, because you never know when you're going to need to keep, headscarves or just anything, anything like, or skirts or a longer skirt. Because sometimes if you go into these shrines or these areas, you're going to, women, you're going to need to cover your knees. You won't be able to go in there with shorts or with Bermuda shorts. You'll need
I'm
to,
always
have
curious, so how do you
below
do
your
it with your
knees.
forehead?
Well, you won't need a
No,
head.
yarmulke.
Oh,
Well, they'll give you a yarmulke if you need one. But
No, I don't know how to do it. I'm curious because when you go to the
Yeah.
wall, you have to
yeah,
wear
well,
it.
you wear it. I believe you wear it in the crown of your
Yeah.
head here, but that'd be interesting to know. But maybe they have maybe they have double-sided tape. I
They must
don't
I don't
know.
know. 'Cause-
That's a good
Someone
question.
please
If someone
answer.
knows,
Yeah, someone knows, please answer how
answer
you
that.
hold it on there and stuff like
Actually,
that.
we have a friend right there in Denver that we're supposed to, that might be able to answer that question for us. So we'll have to ask her.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Because
no.
she's Jewish, she might be able to help us with that. But yeah, just if you're going to
Yeah.
visit these shrines in these areas, I would certainly, as women, bring a longer skirt that's below the knee for those days, and make sure you have a button-up shirt or something that's going to cover your shoulder, scarf or something like that, and make sure you bring bobby pins, something for your hair to cover that up if you're going to wear a scarf or something, so it doesn't fall. That way, you don't have to worry about it, and you can then enjoy what you're looking at and really kind of, be reverent and be present.
You remember,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I'm actually, because I know she did it as a religious pilgrimage for herself.
Mhm.
Sure.
I just want to make sure, because obviously we're talking about travel and culture and stuff like that, that people don't feel that they need to go for religious purposes.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I don't know if she mentioned anything like this, but I can just tell from my experience that when I went, even though I'm Catholic and I'm religious and so on like this, but I want to make it clear that people don't need to go, and
Right.
it's my opinion, but people don't need to go if they feel like it needs to be on a religious journey.
No,
It could be,
true.
it could be just to
right.
visit because you wanted to go, kind of like how I went to Petra,
To see
just to see the historical
or the architecture.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that's a big part of it, and I mean understanding the culture. Yeah.
Exactly. Just that again. Yeah, exactly. Benef, just for an understanding of another culture, or just an understanding of a religion, of where people, or where a mindset, that folks have. I'm a big proponent of that. I don't understand some things, and the best way to go and understand is to actually go, and see,
Yeah, I mean, we were
the
in
source.
Indonesia, in Bali, and it was a religious day, and so we got to the hotel actually like dressed us up, and I have to find a picture, in their festive garments, so that we could go and see these people congregating at it was like a roadside shrine, and just watch what they were doing, how they were celebrating.
That
it was
must have been
super
really cool.
I mean, it was just cool to celebrate, see how other people celebrate God. Like,
and then
that was really cool. And we were, obviously the Americans that do. Well, maybe, maybe they thought I was Indonesian, but they didn't think Thomas. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. But there's another piece to what your friend said, that another thing I can probably say I can 100% agree with her on is the food.
The food. Now, what does she have to say about food?
We wanted some meat. We wanted some bacon. We wanted some beef, because all the hotels are kosher. So, like, in the morning, we would have fish at some of the meals and stuff like that. But when we got home, when we got actually back to the airport in New York, everybody was texting like pictures of their burgers and barbecue, because it was just not something that's they don't eat that over there. Like, at least in the areas we were in.
Well, they didn't eat beef either? Like,
there was none in our hotels. We had we didn't have any, We ate mostly fish. If we had meat, it was fish in the evenings with the meal, because it's something about in the mornings, like, you couldn't have chicken and eggs together, because it was I don't know, it was some kind of thing where the chicken, like, you can't put the egg with the chicken, because it was something with the religion. I'm not exactly sure, but
the Jewish religion, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess I would have. I mean, I don't know that I could have eaten fish every day. For how long were you there?
I was there 9 days.
Oh.
They have a lot of vegetables. They have a lot of fruits. I ate a lot of hummus, which I absolutely love their hummus. Cheeses, breads, salads, things of that nature over there.
But just not the meat. Okay.
Oh my God. It was, I can agree with her.
Like, can we get some meat?
Yeah. So I can 100% agree with what she had to say about the meat, because living in Jordan, 7 months, I didn't have one damn bacon.
No
bacon.
Bacon, I understand. Were you getting beef, or were you getting
no beef? So there was one restaurant in Amman, Jordan, that everybody went to. When I say everybody, I'm talking about like mostly Americans from the embassy.
Right.
Yeah.
But
that's where they got their beef.
Yeah. So, but I give you an example. I did get bacon. For 2 strips of bacon. It was almost $5.
I bet it was.
You have to import it, I imagine.
Either that, or they just trying to get you to not eat it.
I know. So they're not. There was no beef. Were you eating? Was there lamb? Was there just no red?
No, there were lamb. There was lamb.
Okay.
And there was obviously more veggies and
fish. Probably tons of fish.
Chicken was there and stuff like this. I just you as an American, you totally appreciate. Like, I didn't realize.
You're ready for a hamburger, huh?
Yeah, I was waiting for red meat, and I was.
You wanted a burger with some bacon.
Yeah, that salty bacon. I was like, my taste buds was like, I can't deal with this. I need something, and I paid extra money to have extra bacon on my burger.
Okay.
And but to their defense, that was probably one of the best hamburgers I've ever had.
Was it because you hadn't had hamburger in like ages? So
It
you're
could
like,
be, it could be, but I remember it was so
Best damn
juicy.
burger you ever had.
No, but I remember it was so juicy, but you're right. It could be because I didn't have it in a while, but that sucker was so damn good. Stuff, so, but yeah, I thought it was interesting because she said she had to eat a lot of fish, but she did talk about like the veggies and stuff.
yeah.
And so on, because I personally don't eat lamb, so it was really
I'm not a
hard
huge
for me.
lamb
I'm not a
person
lamb
myself,
person
but-
either.
Oh, I love lamb. I love lamb. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
sometimes I can't like it too gamey or
the gaminess.
Well,
that's
But
what-
it's the way that it's prepared. You got, I mean, you
Yeah.
got to have it. We
no,
have
but for
quite a few
me, I
le-
feel like I still taste it, and that's what.
Really?
Yeah.
We have quite a few Mediterranean restaurants here in Houston, and we have some great Lebanese, great Greek restaurants. Great. Oh man, the lamb is incredible. Like fall off the bone, damn
Okay.
good lamb.
You're tempting me. I may have to say, okay, I'm gonna go to Houston.
I mean, to be, not to be, in Europe or the Middle East, so it is damn good. So yeah,
No,
there's some good
But
places.
I'm glad she brought in the cultural food
The
piece
food
of
part.
it
Food is
because
a
Yeah.
it's a huge part.
huge
And-
part
and
of
so,
culture, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I travel, I want
Try
to be
to
able
do
to
the food, right,
try
yeah.
the food piece of it because that's part of immersing yourself into that experience and stuff like that. So I'm appreciating.
What I appreciate, and what I appreciated, honestly, with what Leah was saying is that when visiting, these historic sites, and things, and as far as when she was making those comparisons, because we've talked about going into the different areas and food wise, and knowing that that's another way of knowing culture. What I appreciated her talking about is the importance of doing some research and actually having just at least a little bit of knowledge, so that you can better understand what
Yeah.
may have happened in that area and why it's so important, why people are going there in the first place, right? And why should it be a blip on your map, that people would be coming, because sometimes you may not understand the importance of it, but at least you can have some background or some knowledge so that when you're there,
Yeah.
you can glean as much as you can, and get as much
agree.
experience.
well, that's true. I mean, and also dependent on the area, the sensitivities of the region. I
Mhm.
mean, understanding if two groups of people don't like each other. I mean, it's the
The tension.
Japanese and the Koreans government still are, there's a lot of tension, and
Yeah.
if
yeah.
you
Yeah.
mess that up, like I don't know if you remember watching the Olympics when they were in.
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh! I was watching the opening.
Yes.
And NBC was like, the Koreans are so grateful to the Japanese for bringing their culture and yada yada. They
You're
fired
like,
his
yeah,
ass.
you don't say.
I was like, I can't believe he just said that.
can't. You
Oh
can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
sensitive.
Yeah.
How the
Sensitive.
Korean like, no.
Mhm.
Do your research, Mr. Broadcaster.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, they invaded like so many times. The Koreans are not pleased about.
And I could tell you, yeah. So that is definitely an important piece of it, and
Yeah.
just being able to actually, especially in the Middle East
Yeah.
side of the house,
Yeah.
because obviously Israel's here, and then everybody else in the Middle East is here. It's kind of an interesting
Yeah.
part of the world.
The whole history is,
and it's
is conflict, and just understanding that so you have that knowledge and don't do something silly.
Yeah.
right, and that's why I thought it was fascinating that she enjoyed it as well as I'm assuming everybody else that was on
On
the
the
trip too
trip.
as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So to get her point of view of it, and I'm really glad that it was someone of color who actually went to do this. Because I'm a big proponent of us traveling more outside of our comfort zones. And it's important. And it felt good to see that. Because here's the reason why I say that. If I was not in the military, I probably would have never
Thought about going to
thought
Japan.
of going to Jordan or
Okay.
thought about going anywhere within the Middle East. So, and I'm so happy that I had that experience because, I'm able to speak more intelligently about things and understand if I see something and people or something's happening, I can actually say, no, that's not actually correct or something like that. So that's why I wanted to just share that, because a lot of times people are just misinformed.
Absolutely.
And they don't want to actually go because of, I don't know what reasons. And I'm just like,
well,
no,
a lot of it has
do
to do with just fear, plain old
Yeah.
fear. I mean, traveling expands us, it broadens
Right.
us, but it also is
People want to be in their
challenging.
comfort
It's
zone.
challenging,
Though.
and
Yeah.
it can be stressful because
Yeah.
you're in a place that you don't speak the language,
Yes.
most likely, and now you're trying to figure stuff out.
I think
and it's stressful.
I think it's also us in general as people, we tend to want to share a lot of our own ourselves, and we don't take into consideration where we are and how that may offend others, because we just want to share. What we do and how we do it. And, and it's not about that. When you travel, it's about immersing yourself in that experience and
I agree.
and being quiet, right? And being quiet and accepting what that is. It doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing. It just means that you're being a part of that for that minute, and wanting to be a part of that. So and a lot of times, and it's odd enough, it's odd too that we're discussing religion, because that's actually one of the things that we're not supposed to discuss in a group. Right. When you're going somewhere, but it's such an intricate part of many of us, and who we are.
He talks about going and having a Sabbath dinner with a family.
But we got to have a dinner with a family to just see how they do things. And he was we didn't get to speak much to the wife because you can't really speak to her. During Shabbat, she's quiet. You don't shake hands because there's a ritual process of cleansing your hands before the meals and stuff like that. But they just kind of talked to us. But one thing they didn't want us to do was talk about Jesus a lot, because that is offensive to them, Okay. So we made sure, because of course we all had questions about, and we were able to ask those questions to another Orthodox Jew who actually was, more forthcoming and didn't have a problem with that. But the guy who hosted us, or the gentleman who hosted us, he made sure that he told us, just don't, all I suggest is that you don't talk about Jesus so much to us, because we don't have the same beliefs, and, that's offensive. And so we were like, okay, got it. But
I mean, and I guess it's how do we travel, maintaining our faith and our beliefs, and not getting offended when people don't believe the same thing. I think it's
a respect thing for me. I'm like, I totally get it. If you don't want me to speak about Jesus, that's fine. As long as I'm able to accomplish, my goal over there. And, just basic stuff like, not defacing the historic sites, like cleaning up after yourself. And, there were certain areas that were roped off in the synagogues and stuff that, if they don't want you taking pictures, don't take pictures. If they don't want you going behind the rope, don't go behind the rope,
All right, well, thank you. I think that was a very interesting discussion. Definitely something to think about, to consider when traveling, is to look for those religious historic sites. And if you liked our show, please comment, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
And again, that you enjoyed the start of season 2, where we were all together.
Look, see, I'm touching.
It's amazing.
All still touching. I'm gone.
As always, we appreciate your feedback, so please don't hesitate to do that. And if you have an interesting story that you want to share, or an idea or a topic, please reach out to us, because we definitely want to include your thoughts.
Yes, and I just wanted to put in just 2 cents into this. Is I do want to thank some of our listeners, like Lanita, who has provided us with feedback and story ideas. And that will be some stories that we'll be doing and should be part of our upcoming series as well. So thank you to Lanita.
Thank you, Lanita.